Now in this exercise, we're going to look at adding and subtracting together. Now, what does it mean to add and subtract together? It means that we're being asked to do both of the rules we've learned, the addition rule and the subtracting rule, within the same problem. So here goes. If we're asked to do 5 plus a negative 7 minus a negative 15. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to get them in groups of 2s here. We're going to do the first 2. And the first 2 ask me to do the addition rule. So I'll be looking at a 5 plus a negative 7, which gives us a negative 2. Now we're going to bring down the minus negative 15. Now the subtracting rule tells me to change this to an addition sign, take the opposite of this number, and now follow the addition rule, and now a negative 2 plus a positive 15 gives me 13. Okay. So let's try this again. We have 7 minus a negative 5 plus 4. So we're going to do these two problems together. And so there we're looking at 7 minus a negative 5. The subtracting rule tells me to change this to an addition and take the opposite of this number. And so therefore, we're looking at 7 plus a positive 12, plus a positive 5, which is 12. And now bring down the next number. And we're looking at 12 plus 4, which is 16. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Negative 6 minus a negative 7 plus 8. So we're going to work with the first 2. And that would be a negative 6 minus a negative 7. The rule here tells me to change that subtracting sign into an addition. We're going to take the opposite of the second number, which that makes it a positive. And now we're looking at a negative 6 plus 7, which gives us 1. And then we're going to bring down the next number. And we have 1 plus 8, which gives us 9. Okay. If we have 10 plus 4 minus 30. Okay. The first 2 gives me 14. 24. 14. Can't add right now. Okay. And then 14 minus 30. And now 14 minus 30 says this becomes a plus and this becomes a minus. And now 4 from 10 produces 6. And 1 from 2 is 1. And since the larger number is negative, we would have a negative number there. Okay. 16 plus a negative 3 minus a negative 15. The first two together would give me 13. 13 minus a negative 15. That rule tells me to change this to an addition. Take the opposite of this one, the 15. And so now we're looking at 13 plus a positive 15, which gives me 28. Okay. Negative 18 plus a negative 2 plus a negative 10. When we take a negative 18 plus a negative 2, yep, you should have gotten a negative 20. A negative 20 plus a negative 10, that should give you a negative 30. Okay, so let's look at this one. A negative 20 minus a negative 5 plus a negative 2. So when we work with the first two here, we'll be looking at a negative 20. Change that subtraction into an addition. Change that negative 5 into a positive 5. So when we work with the first two, a negative 20 plus a positive 5 will give us a negative 15. Then we bring down the plus negative 2. And a negative 15 plus a negative 2 gives me a negative 17. Now we want to look at how do we multiply and divide together. So I'm going to take the same approach. I'm going to work the first two problems. Okay. And so in this case, it would be 15 times a negative 2, which gives us a negative 30. Now I'm going to take that negative 30 and divide it by 6. And a negative 30 divided by 6 gives us a negative 5. Now, when we take a negative 8 divided by 2 and then multiply it by negative 7. Okay. Take the first two and we have a negative 8 divided by negative 2 by positive 2, which would give us a negative 4. And now a -4 is being multiplied by a -7. A -4 multiplied by a -7 gives us a positive 28. If we had a -3 multiplied by a -12, and then we're going to divide that by a -2. Okay. Okay. When we multiply a -3 times a -12, we give it a positive 36. And now we're going to take a positive 36 and divide it by a -2. And a positive 36 divided by a -2 will give me a negative 18. If we had a -20 being divided by 4 being multiplied by a -7, I'm going to do the -20 divided by 4, which gives us a -5. And a -5 multiplied by a -7 will give us a positive 35. Okay. Now I would like for you to try this one. -16 divided by a -2 multiplied by a -3. And then -20 multiplied by 12, and then divide that by a -4. So pause the video and try that problem. So your first answer should have been a -24, and your second answer should have been 60.